Hey there, I am very excited today because I'm here with my dear friend Debbie Farley, who's the owner of Dynamics Gymnastics in Gilbert, Arizona. And the reason for today's blog really is because I've been thinking a lot about the universal application of mental toughness. And everything that I do is about mental toughness, right? And I want to explain that term mental toughness, I use synonymously with things like heightening consciousness even. And what does that mean? Well, really what that means is just waking up. Like, being conscious means being awake. And what we're waking up from is the sleepwalk that we've been put in by the conditioning of our past. So it might be obvious to you is why mental toughness is so relevant to PGA Tour golf. Or last I did an interview with Jim Myers, who CEOs lots of Fortune 100 business executives, and it might be obvious why mental toughness is useful in that forum. That video, by the way, you haven't seen yet because there was a problem with the audio, but that'll be next. And now I wanted to spend some time letting Debbie share with you her experience as an expert working with young humans, in what I consider what is easily the most psychological sport that exists. I do a lot of work with golfers, and golf is definitely psychological. It's totally mental, right? But you're never afraid of getting hurt, like you are in gymnastics. So that takes the need for mental toughness to a whole new level. So what I wanted to ask you, Debbie, was if you could just share in your experience, why is mental toughness so valuable and useful, in the gym and out of the gym for these young kids?
Well, I think the first thing that we've found helpful in having mental toughness is allowing the kids the opportunity to work through their fears and their concerns to actually get themselves to do the tricks and live up to their physical expectation. They obviously have the physical abilities. It's sometimes getting that brain to come along with that. And you've been instrumental, and your program has been instrumental in teaching these kids really what to say to themselves to get them to move through the process. I don't know exactly the steps you take, but I know that they've been very effective, both in the gym and outside of the gym, preparing for the workout, preparing for the competitions.
I've never done gymnastics, but it's scary.
You're a little tall,
right? Right. But it is scary, right?
It is scary.
So you're talking about breaking through the fears, right? Using toughness to punch through, right? To push through fears.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, you told me a story earlier about, just an example of your daughter, Jessie,
Yes.
right? And how she's, used some of the tools that she learned a long time ago in application to something in her, in her post-gymnastics life.
Absolutely.
And can you talk about that? Either that story or just what,
in relationship to Jessica, there's a couple of things I can remember clearly when you were working with her. She was a young person and she was in school, and test taking was very nerve-wracking for her. And she would go through some of the mental toughness things to do well on tests, which were extremely effective. Most recently, she's always worked for me, but now she moved away and she had to go for her first job interview. And she called me one day and said, I'm sitting outside of a bank. I'm going to go in and ask them if they are hiring, and I'm scared to death. And so I'm sitting in my car going through some mental toughness things that I learned from Chris so that I can get my body to get out of the car and go in and do it. And I said, well, call me back when you get that done. And about 20 minutes later, she called back. She goes, I did it.
That's it. Isn't that great? It's a perfect example
Perfect.
of how, and that's really, okay, so that is, thank you for that story, because that is a perfect example of the point that I'm intending to make in this whole blog post, which is that, mental toughness or heightening consciousness, right, or emotional intelligence, those are all the same terms, right, is useful in every experience in our lives, right? So I hope that you enjoyed this. Thanks, Debbie, so much for spending time with me and sharing that.
Good to see you.
Thanks, you too.